Hey friend, welcome to the Self Care Isn't Selfish podcast. I'm your host, Emily Nichols. As a Whole30 certified coach, wife, busy working boy mom, and your self-care guru, I'm here to help you start putting yourself first without the guilt. Each week you'll hear motivating and practical tips on how you can create a habit of self-care through interviews with my amazing guests or quick solo episodes with me. After each episode, you'll walk away with an action plan and feel empowered to implement what you have learned into your life. So, grab a cup of coffee, glass of wine, or your favorite sparkling water, and let's do this. You're listening to episode 63 of the Self Care Isn't Selfish podcast. Have you joined my free Facebook community yet? I'm going to keep inviting you until you come. Come on over. There's a link in the show notes if you'd like to come be part of my free Facebook group. Pretty much we're just continuing the conversation every week from each week's episode. And I'm doing a mini workshop every Thursday. So there's always some type of worksheet for you to work from to be able to take action in your own version of self-care based on what we talked about that week in the episode. So come join us. It's free. It's so much fun over there, and I would love to see you over there. And also, I just have to apologize if I sound like super stuffy. It's because I am. I have been battling a sinus infection all week, so I've been trying to wait till the last minute to record this, and it's just not going to work. I'm just going to have to record it stuffy. This is real life. And there's also some folks here doing some landscaping at our home, which I'm so excited about. Thus, my dogs are barking. So this is real life. This is a quickie. So it's just me and my dogs barking and my stuffy nose. So let's get into today's episode. So today we are talking about something I've been exploring a little bit more, and that is toxic positivity. You may be like, what in the world are you talking about, Emily? So pretty much bottom line is it's okay to not be okay. Okay, let me say that again. It's okay to not be okay. No one feels positive and happy all the time. That's just part of the human experience. I suffer sometimes from my own self-limiting beliefs, or I'm just in a negative, crappy mood some days. And, things go wrong and it just really puts a negative tone on your day. And you know what? That's okay. So let me explain a little bit more about what toxic positivity is and share a story where I feel like I've been guilty of toxic positivity as well. So according to Dr. Jamie Zuckerman, toxic positivity is the assumption either by oneself or others that despite a person's emotional pain or difficult situation, they should only have a positive mindset or positive vibes. Okay, so with toxic positivity, negative emotions are seen as bad. Instead, positivity and happiness are just compulsively pushed, and you're missing out on that authentic human emotional experience. It's like your emotions, whatever you're feeling, whether it be mad, sad, anxious, depressed, whatever, those are denied, minimized, or really just invalidated. And that's not cool. It's actually been shown and proved that avoiding or suppressing any type of emotional discomfort, if you will, it can lead to increased anxiety, depression, or just an overall worsening of your mental health. That's why I share so many different tools with you on the show, such as writing, the EFT tapping, working out, just getting outside in nature and walking, or just jumping on your trampoline and listening to some really amazing music. You need a way to get those emotions out, feel them, express them, get them out, but don't suppress them. So let's face it, we're not living in the most positive world right now, are we? So I wanted to provide you some tips because I feel like there is a push to look on the bright side, be positive, and it's okay not to feel like that all the time. Now, I don't feel like you should get stuck in that dark place. I think it's okay to feel those feelings and use some type of coping mechanism to work through them and acknowledge them. I don't want you to get stuck there, though. But there are some ways to avoid this toxic positivity out there and how it can be actually unhealthy for you. Like maybe you feel like something's wrong with you because you are feeling this way. And when in fact, there's absolutely nothing wrong. Like I said, sometimes negative emotions are just part of the human experience. So here's 3 tips I want you to think about when it comes to avoiding toxic positivity. Then I'll share a little story with you about my own experience with toxic positivity. So number 1, avoid social media. Duh. Like sometimes all you see is people's highlight reels. They're like, oh, my life is so beautiful and wonderful. Or if you post something about, maybe just having a bad day and people are trying to cheer you up and they're just like, see on the bright side, be grateful for what you have. And you just want to be like, whatever, Karen, shut up. You know what I mean? So avoid social media or unfollow people or just silence them if you don't want to actually unfollow them that are maybe, spreading a little toxic positivity that way that isn't settling well with you. Number 2, like I mentioned, I provide a lot of tips on how to get out your emotions. I think one of the biggest ones is writing down your feelings. I think that's a really easy, accessible way to write out your emotions. And if you don't know where to start, just start with gratitude or what you're grateful for. Or if you are really in a deep, dark spot, writing out how you're feeling right now and why you're feeling that way. And, I'm going to start writing a lot more like we talked about on last week's episode with Chelsea. Writing is something that can be used as a form of therapy in addition to self-care. They kind of go hand in hand, right? But I've noticed when I've started writing more just from that conversation with Chelsea, a lot of things come out that I didn't even know were there. So I think writing is a really great way to, get those emotions out instead of, being around toxic positivity. And lastly, I saw this Instagram post from Psychology and Love, and I loved it so much. So she had 2 examples. So there is mindful positivity versus toxic positivity. Okay? So mindful positivity. So this is something you can say to yourself. Write this down, keep it in your back pocket. So mindful positivity looks like this. This is painful, and that's okay. I can be hurting and hopeful that growth will come from this. Okay? That's very mindful. Okay? You're acknowledging the pain you're in and hoping that you can learn and grow from it. Versus toxic positivity would be, who has time for pain when there's so much to be grateful for? Look at the bright side. Don't be sad. Don't suppress those emotions. Be mindful versus being toxic when it comes to trying to be more positive. I hope those tips were helpful to avoid toxic positivity. Now, let me share a little story with you because I feel like I've been guilty of toxic positivity. I consider myself a pretty positive person. I do have my moments, and they've been, frequent sometimes or not very often. It just depends on the season of life I'm going through, where I'm like, I am going to be your cheerleader, your motivator. I want to help you see the bright side. So last year, my mom went through a battle with breast cancer. And if you've ever witnessed a parent or a loved one go through something like that, it sucks. Okay? There's no sugarcoating it. It sucks. The emotional and physical trauma on her body and mind, going through chemo and radiation and losing her hair and her body changing, and the mental effects that has on you after being sick for so long because of the chemotherapy treatments, you can get into a really negative headspace. And a lot of times I was like, Mom, look at this, look at this. I mean, this is going great. And look at this and look at that. And after a while, I was just like, I just had to be there for my mom and just listen and be like, yeah, Mom, this sucks. I'm really sorry you're going through that. What can I do to help? Instead of just look at the bright side. I mean, we're kicking cancer's butt. There's a time and place for that. But I feel like I was being more toxic with my positivity versus mindful. So a couple of questions to ask yourself, and we'll talk about this more this week in our free Facebook group about toxic positivity, and some questions you can ask yourself if maybe you're guilty of this as well. Maybe ask yourself, is your positivity invalidating someone's reality or emotions? My mom was going through cancer. It sucked. I could not possibly know how she felt. I just knew as her daughter, and I wanted to make her feel good, when in reality, I was invalidating her feelings. Are you minimizing a real struggle or pain? Is it making others question their actual reality? Is it ignoring someone's context? Like I said, I haven't had cancer. I don't know what it felt like for my mom. And if the answer is yes to any of these, it might be time to be more mindful of our positivity and how we use it. Like the post I mentioned from Psychology and Love, I'll make sure to tag them in the show notes as well. Think about mindful positivity versus toxic positivity, not only with the way you think, but the way you approach others. And I know when people are positive, trying to be positive with others, they're not doing it to be mean-spirited. But just think about that moving forward so that you're not invalidating someone's feelings, emotions, or their basic human experience, because life isn't always going to be rainbows and unicorns. You can try to make it that way, but that's just not life. We've been going through a season like this whole 2020, right? And it's not right for us to invalidate the way anyone's feeling, but it is a wonderful thing to show up for somebody and just to say, I hear you and I'm here for you, versus trying to make them feel better with your toxic positivity. I hope this episode resonated with you. We'll be talking about toxic positivity a little bit more, and some cueing you can think about and say to people if they are spreading toxic positivity your way, or if you're guilty of it yourself as well. Like I said, I was. If you loved today's episode, make sure to leave a rating and review. I would love it so much. And give me a follow over on Instagram at EmilyNichols22. I want to connect with you over there, show you some behind the scene things that I'm doing over on the show. And I'm going to have a big announcement coming soon. I can't wait to share it with you all. I'm just kind of thinking about how I can best show up and serve you all. And I've been getting a lot of great feedback from my free Facebook group. So come on over there so we can chit chat over there some more. So let me know if this episode resonated with you. If this is your first time listening, I'm so glad you're here. Go back and listen to some other episodes so we can get to know each other a little bit better. So sending you all lots of love and light. And remember, self-care isn't selfish. See you next week.